Well, as you're getting ready for the 12 days of Christmas, I have the top 12 best fixed blades that we tested and reviewed here at the channel for 2024. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another blade video here at Gideonstactical. I'm Aaron, and 2024 has been an epic year for fixed blades. Edge tools, there have been some excellent offerings and some dumpster fires. And in today's video, I'm gonna highlight and really condense the top 12 that really impressed me and really pushed some really good particular buttons for me, regardless if it was value, performance, whatever it is, and that I think would be excellent choices for you to be either put in rotation, to give as gifts. But I'm also gonna highlight 4 dumpster fires of a fixed blade that you should definitely steer away from. And I have the entire gambit to go through. I mean, we've got $30 fixed blades, we've got $300 fixed blades. I got, like a machete size, I got compact EDC, and I've got like bushcraft, survival, I mean, everything in between to really, I hope, hit the spectrum of the fixed blade knife user and enthusiast. And to be clear, no knife company has paid or sponsored something to make this list. This is a completely independent list of blades that have really checked a box for me, that have done really well for me in certain categories, and I think could potentially do really well for you, regardless if it's 2024 or you're watching this 5 years from now. But I do want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is HUCKBERRY. They are an amazing sponsor regularly here at the channel. I'm sporting my 10-year warranted, American-sourced, American-built Flint & Tinder hoodie, keeping me warm out here in the chilly December air here in the Rocky Mountains. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the gear items and stuff that they offer at an intermission a little bit later in the video. But let's go ahead and get right into it with the first knife on our list that I think was perfect to build the foundation for, because I think it's a foundational knife. The BOKER BK19. It dropped early in 2024, late 2023. It was one of the first fixed blades I tested for the year, and I was so pleased with it. I think it is the best option as an all-arounder in the BOKER Tweener series from Ka-Bar. So if you're looking for a USA-made knife, because it comes with a polymer ambidextrous sheath, whereas the BK16, to my knowledge, still does not, I think that really lends itself. It's a great sheath. I have zero complaints with it, particularly for the price that I'll hit in just a second. The blade profile at just over 4 inches, it has enough of a drop that you can really do some piercing, but you can do all kinds of woodscraft, camp tasks, general utility. I mean, this is really an ideal belt knife size and really a good foundation if you're just getting into fixed blades, or maybe you're wanting to gift somebody like a good, solid, reliable knife, but you don't want to break the bank. This gives a lot of modification options. There's a lot of versatility and just very, very capable in the design. Now, I know some of you might be very curious. This is from Lucas Carroll, and he does custom scales. He hooked me up with these right after I did the video. I'll have a link popping up, and I'm gonna have links throughout this entire video to all the affiliate networks I partner with, so that if a particular item makes sense for you, you can just jump down in the description box. I'll have my Amazon store, all that, so that you guys can find all of these. So if you want to upgrade, because the plastic, that's the only downside. The plastic, polymer, whatever, handle scales aren't awesome, but you can get generic micarta from Ka-Bar for like 35 bucks. So that's gonna bring the knife to probably like around 150, 140 usually, or you can get some really cool tricked out ones from Lucas and what he's doing. These are freaking phenomenal. This blacked out version is a Smoky Mountain Knife exclusive. When I'm making the video, they're 70 bucks on their site. I don't know if that's how long that sale is gonna last. I don't know how long it's gonna continue and how long they're gonna be in stock. The normal going rate is around like 100 to 110, but an excellent introduction to our list. And if you're familiar with a particular type of knife I'm talking about and you want to skip ahead, there are chapters in the timeline below. So with that, we're going to springboard to kind of the really high end. And this is an EDC knife, and I got my little list flapping in the wind here. Here, let me get a little hit of coffee. And I want to know, leave a comment on that Ka-Bar. What's your favorite tweener? Of the series that they currently have. They've definitely gone through some changes over the years. So glad they did the polymer. Okay, the REIFF knives, baby. REIFF knives CIRCADIAN. This is a really cool EDC blade. Now, this is made in Magna Cut. If you're not familiar with REIFF knives, came in on the scene a few years ago, and he basically can't keep the knives in stock. Transferable, no questions asked, lifetime warranty on super premium steel blades. Again, Magna Cut for this particular model. What's cool about this is that the design really strays away from his F series. And what I like about it is it has a much higher flat grind, big belly, and a very different handle that is interchangeable. Is one of the first designs because they're like mid-tech knives almost. So each handle scale is kind of fit for each knife. This one, you know, you could swap scales, micarta, G10, just over 3 inches, and then an excellent leather sheath with an ulti clip. I mean, perfect pocket carry. It will take up a lot of space, but if you're looking for, like, a lot of compact EDC knives are pretty short. This one being just over 3 inches gives a lot of versatility in an 1/8 inch thick, high flat grind. Very, very slicey. So if you like that type of, you know, endeavor, and you're liking a more unique handle profile that's extremely ergonomic, the CIRCADIAN is a phenomenal EDC blade, but it's going to be pushing $300. It'll be pushing $300 when in stock, and he kind of does batches. So when they're not in stock, you got to wait, get on a mailing list, and then boom, you know, some will drop. All right, next up is a total sleeper that you should definitely not sleep on, and it's the LIONSTEEL B40 and B41 series. Now, I just kind of got it on a whim. You know, I was like, like, it kind of looks good. And more people need to be talking about this series. Now, the only difference between the B40 and 41 is the sheath and the handles. The B40 has a thicker, kind of beefier handle, and the B41 has a little bit narrower, tapering handle. So kind of depending on your preference, maybe how you're going to carry it. 4-inch blade, full-size handle, very, very ergonomic. Lots of options. You can get micarta, you can get G10, you can even get wood handle scales, so it gives you a lot of variety. It's a LIONSTEEL made out of Sleipner. They know what they're doing with Sleipner. I really like that steel. They even have like a hidden 90-degree spine on the back, pommel there that you can strike and get a fire going and use it on your fire starter if you need to, which is really good. But I just really like it because it feels kind of like a Puko, but it has a saber and a really, like, just classic flat drop on that blade shape. So it's just a very functional, fully handled blade. And then the sheath on the B40, I don't like as much. It's really good quality Italian made, but the tension is very low. I'm gonna have to, like, wet form it. It's just wide and kind of broad. The B41 has a better sheath, but I actually like the handle a little bit more on the B40. So it's kind of like this. I wish they'd just done the B41 sheath on both. So it'll kind of come down to what you prefer. If you prefer bigger, beefier handle, there are just like aftermarket leather. You know, you just find the right blade length and then you just drop it in there, and that has a good tension, a little bit less, you know, wide kind of goofy profile, or you can do Kydex, you know, whatever, all of those in the Amazon links below for aftermarket sheaths. But at around, they usually are about like 135 to 145, depending on, you know, where you pick them up. With all those different options and variables, it's a very good just companion belt knife to have. That's a little bit beefier and bigger than like a little compact EDC fixed blade, but isn't like a full dedicated camp knife necessarily. Now, how about our first dumpster fire? One to steer away from. It has to do and is a James brand Hell Gap. Now, in concept, this is not a bad knife. The design is great, and James Brands always has like really good eye-catching designs. The design of the fixed blade is very simple, very organic. It's like just over 3.5 inches, so it's an ideal size for, you know, like a companion blade or even EDC. And the handle is very ergonomic. The stock thickness, like all that stuff is very good. It's S35VN, which is sourced in America, but the knife is made in China. Okay, that's fine. We have some Chinese built knives here on the channel. The issue comes into play. One, they don't give you any sort of belt attachment, and it's a perfect Kydex sheath for belt attachment, but they give you nothing. Like literally, you have to go spend more money to get this attached. And if it was a certain price point, maybe we could see that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, something would be good. But they're charging almost $300. Like $280 is what they currently go for, $280. And for that price, when we're going to see here some, you know, American source steels, but the knives are made in China, I mean, we're seeing them for well under $100. This is a great like $150, $175 knife max to me, with its designs, with all the stuff, because yes, it's designed in America, yes, the steel comes from there, but the production is overseas, and it's just, I don't see the value. And just some things, not adding belt clips and just stuff like that just left me scratching my head going like, at the right price point, this would be an excellent tool. It's just way overpriced, and you don't get what you're throwing your money at, except for a good-looking design. That's literally it. So that would be one that I personally don't enjoy. Leave a comment below on what your thoughts are on that blade, particularly if you own one. How do you like it? Now, with that, let's transition over, and I got to get in here to my little carrying case that we'll talk about a little bit later, actually. There we go. Okay. I could have done this the first one out, but I wanted to hold off. This blade is very near and dear to my heart, and I would argue is potentially one of the best camp knives. And I'm biased in that because I had a hand in helping to design it. And it is the TJ Schwartz LT Lost Trail 5. Right there. Booyah, Grandma. Yes, this blade is the very first knife that I ever had a hand in helping to really put some big input in the design. Now, it's TJ's design. He messaged me and he was like, hey man, you know, we'd been doing some other stuff together, and he was like, would you help me, you know, do a design? And I have this idea, but I wanted to get your feedback. And so we went back and forth. He sent me 3D models. I mean, we did a lot of stuff together, and really came up with this design. And I wasn't even expecting it. He was generous enough to put my name on his site as, you know, like basically someone who helped in the designing process, which I'm just so thankful for, and it wasn't something I was expecting, but a huge blessing. And this blade is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of what you would look for in a camp knife. We have 5 inches, we have 5/32 of an inch thick, 90-degree spine, high saber grind with a massive amount of belly. There's so many attributes to the design that just make sense. Ergonomically, it literally feels like part of your hand, an extension of your hand, coming in just under 10 ounces, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. And rich light handle scales, ribbed, every shoulder is machined and rounded. Great execution, bird beak on the back so you can do wrist flicks, Kydex sheath with a metal attachment, belt loop, ambidextrous. The sheath is excellent. Now, the steel is A2 steel, Rockweld 62 to 63. I mean, that is amazing, and it is bomb-proof. I mean, we have done so much testing on it. TJ has, I have, others of you in the industry and just in, you know, the knife community have, and this is holding an excellent edge and is very, very, very tough. So this is an ideal blade, I think, for a lot of different tasks, and just a pleasure to use, personally. You know, the idea can be in your head, but the execution has to, you know, fulfill that. Now, if you want to get your hands on this, there's 2 ways to do that. You can wait for a batch, and TJ releases batches almost weekly in different color combinations. Those are pre-built, ready to ship, ready to rock and roll, and there's like no choices really in them. Those are gonna run you about $195, but I have an exclusive 10% off promo code you can apply towards those batch orders or anything else on TJ's site, which will knock them down to like $175, you know, before shipping and stuff, which is just a well under $200 all-American made, basically mid-tech like level knife. Excellent value. Or at any time, like today, you can go there if they're out of stock and go to the custom builder. You can pick different color combinations of handle scales and potential sheath and, you know, coatings and stuff. It takes 2 to 4 weeks. They ship directly to your house. Boom, you got yourself an LT5 with an excellent fit and finish, quality control, everything that TJ does. He does excellent designs, and a little bit of my influence in there as well, which is just an awesome blessing. So a phenomenal option. Shout out if you own an LT5, leave a comment on what you think of that blade and what's been your experience so far. I love getting the feedback. All right, next up on the list, let me look here. Ah, there it is, yeah. Beefy EDC, a beef. Bucking Bronco, if you will. The mini Bronco from BOKER Knives, German made, ADCR V2, just under 3.5 inches, like 3.4 inches. They're going for right around like 95 to 105 bucks, so great value for a German made knife. What I love about this tool, and this was for the new year, it was one of my favorite kind of like bigger EDC knives, because again, EDC knives, and we have a couple here that are really tiny, you know, and some of you, and myself included, like that in some scenarios, but there's also a value to having like a really full real estated handle, right? Just beefy. Don't mind Tommy the Trail Dog floating around back there. He's doing well. He's over 12 years old now, but he's doing good. A little creepy guy running around. So anyway, saber grind, 90-degree spine, but that handle, you know, I really like the checkered pattern that it has. Don't go bumping my trail. Are you trapped? Go through. He's trapped. Here, go under here, Tommy. There we go. So, but yeah, great real estate, really grippy, but still pretty slim. You know, it's not really fat. And so I like that. So if you are looking at carrying a compact fixed blade, either for legal reasons, you know, just like you prefer it over a folder for whatever reason, this is going to give you a lot of grip and a lot of girth, and great for, regardless if it's woodscraft or just general utility. I have really enjoyed using this tool, and they did a really good job. A lot of times with you know, mass-produced blades like this, the sheath's gonna be garbage. A Taco design sheath, I really am pleased with it. Locks it in, so it's a very slim profile. Even comes with like a pocket or belt clip, so you can pocket carry this thing. You know, I would get an ulti clip. I need to put one on here, but this definitely got the job done for months. You know, regardless if you're running it through your belt or on your pocket, it could definitely get the job done, and eventually, you know, go to an ulti clip is what I would do. And if you buy 2 ulti clips, by the way, over on their site, I'll have a link trying to pop up and around 2, which they're about 15 bucks a piece. You can get free shipping if you spend about 30 bucks on their site. So go check that out if you want to get an ulti clip for one of your fixed blades or firearms. Oh, should I not have said that? But yeah, for the value, like around $100, they have like a 3V Scandi version as well that they have in this exact same size range that you could take a look at if you like Scandi grinds instead. But I think this, with that steel choice, all the things, I'm really pleased with the mini Bronco, and constantly go back to it and use it quite frequently throughout the year. Now our next dumpster fire is also a BOKER. So, you know, not playing any favorites here. We're gonna get real in just a second with the next one. I would definitely steer away from my personal experience for multiple reasons. But before we do that, if you're getting value, entertainment out of this video, I do invite you to hit that like button. Helps us go up in the rankings, get recommended to other gear lovers and knife lovers like yourself. And if you're not yet a subscriber, hit the subscription button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified every week and stay up to date on news, gear, and breakdowns on equipment, so you can make wise choices on whether or not a piece of gear is worth putting in rotation or not. And I do want to circle back to today's sponsor, which is HUCKBERRY. I've already touched on my Flint and Tinder hoodie as well. I'm rocking my Flint and Tinder work pants, had those for over a year, working great. And I know HUCKBERRY on many of their items has free returns through the end of January 2025, making them a great resource for Christmas gift ideas. So that, you know, if something doesn't work quite right, you have some window of time to be able to return. But on top of that, I just want to hit the organizational crate that I've been using to carry a lot of my gear lately. And you might be familiar with these American-made Cydio organizer crates. I got the starter kit, which are 2 large and 1 small kit through HUCKBERRY. I got the clear version so I can see what's inside, but you can get, you know, different color combinations if you want. Nice lid with graduations on there if you want. And then it has tons of slits, I think like over 40 different slits, and then a few dividers, so you can really size it how you want for your different pieces of gear and equipment, making it really easy for me to organize my different blades that I'm testing or gear. And then, you know, you can just use it as an organizer, just normal crate if you want. And then they have, I believe, 250-pound weight rating, so really tough, durable, waterproof bottom. And then you got the more narrow version that you can organize different pieces of gear as well. And the starter kit goes for just over 150 bucks. So it's been working really well for me as a way to know where my gear is and not waste time doing that. So if you're a gear lover or you're wanting to gift something to a gear lover that needs to organize all that gear, this could be a perfect solution. And that's just scratching the surface of some of my favorite pieces of gear and equipment that are often exclusive to HUCKBERRY that I use daily and on all of my adventures throughout the whole year. So I'm gonna have a link popping up here over to the HUCKBERRY site, as well as in the description box below, and that includes my 10% off promo code that you can apply towards your very first purchase, just helping you save a little extra cash this holiday season. So I invite you to check them out and see what they got to offer. All right, dumpster fire number 2 that I would steer away from in my personal experience, your mileage may vary, is the BOKER full-size Bronco. I am not impressed with that blade. I tested these side by side. The 80CR V2 Mini worked great. The full-size CPM 3V steel version, I broke the tip on, which is one of the very few blades in 3V I've ever, if only ever, broke doing my pride test. And I've done other blades of a similar geometry. I broke the tip off of that. So I don't know if the heat treat was probably too hard. I don't know. And for that size, the 2 things were a major problem for me. The edge geometry of the first edge was not good. It had a micro bevel that was not good. It had to be completely resharpened and reprofiled to get the full potential out of the blade. So that I did not like at all. particularly for a 3V steel knife. It's not fun to have to like reprofile a knife, and that's not like, oh, I have some custom like edge I like. It's just like generic, like, can it cut? No, it did not cut very well for me. And because it's a larger blade, where the thin kind of contoured handle works great for an EDC blade, for like a belt bushcraft knife, companion blade, it did not work well. It just was not very ergonomic. I felt like I was wanting the handle to be beefier on that size of knife, and just did not compute for me. And it's a pretty high price. Still made in Germany, but the price point with all those other aspects that you're running into of problems, there's just better options out there for that steel. Like I'm thinking the SRK, you know, even like the Master Hunter from Cold Steel are both options you can get in 3V. They're cheaper, you know, and they just perform better. So that's me. I would steer away from the full size, stick with the mini from my personal experience. All right, so we went ultra high end. Let's go ultra budget. One of the cheapest models we're gonna see today. See, I told you guys, 35 bucks for the ODENWOLF W series. Now, I bought this on a whim, just like totally random. I've been seeing it, you guys have been like, oh, you should check this out. So I did, I pulled the trigger. I was really impressed, so much so I took it on a backpacking trip this year, you know, with limited weight, and you're counting every ounce. I was like, you know what, this is so good. It was so good, I got the Scandi version first. Then I went and bought the full flat version, because they have both, which is awesome. You know, a lot of these kind of cheaper knives, they do Scandi. It's nice to see variety, so a full flat grind version, different, you know, color options, 1/8 of an inch thick. It's Chinese made, D2 steel, Rockwell 60. Go watch the full review. I have full reviews on every knife we're testing here. And I bent this to like, I don't know, 20 degrees off, and it's spraying right back into place. And it's holding a good edge. Now, I snapped the tip on the original because of how thin, you know, full flat is. The Scandi, no tip damage. That can happen with full flats. Go watch the full review. These are phenomenal, tough, just unique, and they're big. You know, they're almost 5 inches of blade length, rubberized handles, ambidextrous polymer sheaths. You really can't go wrong. And for those of you who want to maybe score a deal, or if you're an international user, I do have a link with a promo code for 10% off over to the ODENWOLF website. So I bought those on a whim and was just stunned. Got some other ODENWOLFs and just really pleased with the value. 35 bucks. I mean, wowzers. Very, very impressive. A couple of my friends and family members have bought a few ODENWOLFs based off of our use when we were backpacking, and a great value for a camp knife or a woodscraft knife. Maybe you're just getting bored with Moras. You know, you're like, yeah, I have 5 Moras and I'm just kind of bored. I want something a little bit different. That's gonna give you some variety, some great performance, and it's not gonna break the bank. Now in 2024, there weren't a lot of large machetes and choppers that even hit the market. It's just something that kind of, there's these ebbs and flows in the market. Compact EDC blades are really the thing, and big choppers have kind of dulled out a little bit, if you will. There's still absolutely, I feel, a need for them, particularly on the environment, if we're looking at like machete work and stuff like that. And so of the very few that came out, there's only one that really, like, oh my gosh, grabbed my attention. And I felt, because it's so unique, had to make this list because of its capability, but also design. And that is the Tops Knives manufactured, Houghton-era Outdoors designed Solidago machete. This is a 1095 10-inch blade that is 5/32 of an inch thick. Most knives in this size range, especially from Tops, but a lot of other guys, they're usually like 1/4 inch thick, making them super heavy, super clunky, great for where I live actually in the like West, but for actual machete work, not ideal all the time. But this blade with its low saber grind, excellent edge geometry, and its 4 grip points. It is designed with some jimping right here to do a draw knife design, you know, type of cut if you want, and feels great doing that. Then you have a very large choil right here, giving you excellent balance so that you can totally use the blade in a way that you can't always with large other machetes, like say a Hungalis or BK9. This is gonna be way more controllable than that. But then you have a standard grip, and then you have a back grip as well that feels great, does not transfer shock, and you can whip this thing around all day. Use your thumb lanyard, right? For those of you who don't know, you stick your thumb in backwards. I'm gonna try and do it slow so you know. Boom. Now I'm not going anywhere, and I can chop all day and use the tool. So uncoated 90-degree spine for throwing sparks. We don't usually see that, you know, with a lot of 1095 blades out there. And one of the designers, Aaron, who's a friend of mine, and his brother, Nate. My name's Aaron. My younger brother's name is Nate. Aaron and Nate, It's hilarious. Great guys. He does all the sheath work, so you can get a handmade leather sheath as well. These guys are going to go for about $240, and you can only get them on the Houghton Air Outdoor website. So I'm going to have a link in the description below for that if you are interested. But if you're looking for something to be thinner, slicier, faster in the hand, and a lot more ergonomic, great for greenery, and I would say medium to light deadwood. They're, you know, if you have a 2-pound freaking giant like Power Eagle, yeah, that's gonna be way better for clearing like thick dead hickory or something like that. But this is a very fast in the hand, very capable, excellent at batoning. My sons love using that to split wood back here in the backyard, and we use that on backpacking trips. It's a great brush clearing tool that can do fine work as well. All right, next up, I got a little budget $45 EDC fixed blade. See, guys, I'm staying true to it. We got premium, and then we got super budget. Now, when we're talking about EDC knife, you want it to be slim, right? I mean, that's exactly what this does. We'll hit the sheath here first. Pancake, but pretty slim and doesn't take up a huge amount. Good pocket clip. You could put an ulti-clip on it if you want. It's ambi, so that's really good. And then you deploy the blade, boom. And what I really like is the blade shape, first off. I mean, just the overall design really connects with me. It's striking, it's just over 3 inches. It's very high, flat grind, so very slicey on about 1/8 of an inch thick, 90-degree spine, I think I said. And rubberized handle scales that can be removed, so you can do paracord wrap if you want, but kind of give you like a rubberized tacky feel that I like. And full real estate. You know, it's hard sometimes to find a full, like over 3-inch blade, good full handle grip, and then a sheath. Hitting all those points and then hitting it for under 50 bucks, that's really hard to do. D2 steel. I get, every time I post about this, I get, you know, people like, that's a weak point in the design, that gap right there on the neck. I mean, true, and if it was like a 5-inch survival knife, I'd be like, that's probably not smart. On a 3-inch folder, it's definitely going to be more durable and more reliable than any pocket knife you own, because it's still a fixed blade. And I don't know what you're doing with a 3-inch, you know, fixed blade that would make you be concerned that you're going to somehow break, you know, those metal pieces right there. I mean, even if I stepped in it, you know, like stabbed it into a stump and like stepped on it, it ain't gonna break there. It's gonna snap the tip off long before it ever broke, you know, in the middle there. So I don't know. Leave a comment if that bothers you. It doesn't bother me in the least, because it's a little compact EDC fixed blade, and I'm not gonna be putting anything through it like, say, a machete, or, you know, or something like that. But excellent. I really like that one, and it's a really high value if you want to get into compact EDC fixed blades. All right, now to the ESEE that you should definitely steer away from. And I was really shocked. I was kind of like, man, this sucks. And it is the ESEE Kukri from their expat line. Now, if you're not familiar with their expat line, this is a series of knives that they have produced in El Salvador. Don't quote me on this. My understanding is I think Condor is the one that usually produces these for them. And if you know anything about Condor, they're getting better, and they're definitely, you know, starting to use a little bit better tools, but their fit and finish is usually all over the place, and this was absolutely true on this knife. This Kukri, it mainly came down to the sheath. The sheath is a very cheap nylon, not impressed. I mean, at least Condor, and even if Condor doesn't make these, you know, like we're just comparing, has really good leather for almost all, or polymer for all of their sheaths. So it's a very cheap bogus nylon that eventually you'll want to upgrade in some capacity. So that's disappointing, where ESEE usually is really good on their sheaths. And then on top of that, it mainly came down to, I believe the walnut is what it is. Handles were so blocky, angled, not like lined up well, and just not comfortable to chop with. And it's a Kukri. It's a full-size Kukri. That is what you're going to be doing with it. And it caused lots of shock, lots of hot points, and just was not enjoyable to use, and just a non-starter for me. And I believe they're over $100. I can't remember exactly what they go for, but I mean, there's just way better options. I would just go with a Condor. I mean, if that's what you want, go find a Condor, Machete, or Kukri, and they're going to be, in my opinion, better sheath, better ergonomics, because they usually spend more time on the handles, and you're gonna get probably about the same performance, at least on like the 1075 steel that one, you know, went with. So I don't know what, ESEE's doing this a little bit with a couple of their knives, and they need, in my opinion, they need to stop, and they need to either have better quality control over those and spend a little bit more time on the sheaths and the handles, or they need to stop doing the expat. And that's my personal opinion. Leave a comment below. What do you think about my opinion on that? So with that, let's go ahead and look at another. Now, I'm really excited for this Combat Puko. I know, it's kind of oxymorons in a way. And I actually had to go to a foreign site, since it's a Finnish knife, to buy it originally, but since having bought it, now DLT Trading, Blade HQ carries these variants, and they are the Pendleton Ranger Puko. This is the M07. They have the M, I believe, 95 or 095, which is the larger version. There are different color combinations. This is a NATO approved field knife. So they had to go through a lot of rigorous testing to get approved as an option that, like, you can go to you know, the store on base and buy one of these blades, and then you're allowed to carry it, you know, on your rig, because it has passed all of that stuff. Now there's lots of options for sheaths. I actually got like kind of a Kydex that came with it. A lot of them are more cylindrical polymer sheath. What I really like is the 80 CRV2 at a 59 Rockwell is an excellent steel, super, super tough, but you're getting, and there are some Scandi versions available, but the saber grind with this type of handle feels very comfortable, so I can use it for a very long extended period of time in bushcraft tasks, but it's very capable as a tactical knife for stabbing, piercing, slashing, doing that stuff, and that's usually not the case with the bushcraft. You either bushcraft or you do combat. This is giving a crossover capability that's hard to find, and it's not super expensive. It's like 105 bucks, 110 bucks, something like that on average here in the US, and it's this great crossover blade. You should go watch the full review. It's pretty wild, but it's a great crossover blade. For those of you who want bushcraft but a little bit more capable, I think it'd be a great like bug out bag, go bag type of knife, because if you lost it, it wouldn't break the bank, but you could do woodscraft all day, or you could do self-defense rolls if necessary with that series of knives. Leave a comment below if you use one of those, or if you've been deployed and use one of those. If you like having a hand in customizing and tricking out your tools, you can never really leave them alone, well, then this next blade is for you, and it's the Architect Knives AK 5.5. Now, before we even look at what customization and kind of what Architect Knives does, the design itself is just so eye-catching. It is like perfectly laid out as a dedicated full-size camp knife. 5-inch blade, high saber grind, beautiful drop point, 5/30 seconds, 0.16 stock thickness. It's so great to see more and more of these knife companies making thinner stocked full-size knives. I think it's just the better steel qualities that we have now versus like 10, 15 years ago where everything was like 3/16 and a 1/4 inch thick. Means that they're indestructible, but they're not fun for actual carving and cutting. 5/30 seconds on a blade like this with this type of grind is phenomenal for a full-size camp knife. The handle is large, feels great and ergonomic in the hand. Now, what Architect Knives brings to the table, they're an outgrowth of the Knife Connection, a knife distributor that's been around forever. They've done partnerships in the past with ESEE and things like that. Well, in 2024, I believe, it might have been the end of 2023, but they launched their own series of knives from 3 inches all the way up to 8 inches. I've reviewed a few here on the channel, but I feel like the 5.5 is really like the antithesis, I think that's the right word, English wasn't my strong suit, of like the pinnacle of their series. If you were to ask me like just one, if you wanted to start out with, this is the one. And so this is what you do. You get basically a blank, you choose the steel, 1095, S35 VN, 3V, or MagnaCut. I have MagnaCut. When I'm making this video, I know they have 3V in stock. They do batches, so if a particular steel is out of stock, you just have to be patient. I try to give posts regularly, let you guys know, what steels are available when. So you build out a blade, then you choose the handle. I have Ghost, Gray, G10. You can do all kinds of different types of G10, micarta, whatever you want. And then after that, you can choose leather or Kydex sheaths. The Kydex sheaths are excellent. The leather is great. You can do different backers. I mean, it is the full package. And just as an example, the 3V version, if you build it out and kind of do a very base build, you're looking at about $240. But I have an exclusive promo code you can use site-wide, which will save 10% on your purchase when you apply it at checkout. I'll have that popping up, the link below, all that. But that brings it like $220 for like a base build on one of these in 3V. And if you trick it out and do stuff maybe like 240, 260, it's right in there. So like 220, let's say 225, 250 for a super premium. They have lifetime warranty, American made. White River's doing all of the premium stuff. Tops is doing the 1095. I mean, they are excellent. So if you're not familiar, go check them out. If you've been kind of thinking about it, I mean, they are an excellent way to build out a superb design, regardless of what you want. But the 5.5 is really like an excellent camp knife. All right, next up is probably the best value for an EDC fixed blade on the list, honestly, for what you get. And it is the mini harpoon from KIZER Knives, cutlery. CPM 3V steel. I paid 60 bucks for this knife. You're getting burlap micarta. There's lots of other handle options. 3-inch blade, full flat grind, 90-degree spine, 4-finger grip, and a taco designed sheath. What more can you ask for that $60? It's really mind-boggling. Now, they sell out super fast because they are very desirable. There's a full-size version you can look at as well. They have D2 and Nitro V as well. But this wouldn't be my first choice for like hiking, just because of the full flat and how thin the tip is. I like kind of a beefier fixed blade for that. But for general EDC, especially with the taco design, as long as you replace the knockoff blade tech lock is garbage, you're gonna need to replace that. This is a superb $60 pocket knife to EDC in your pocket and potentially replace your, your folder. So the KIZER mini harpoon, leave a comment below if you own and rock one of those. Just previously did the review on that blade, and it is really impressive and phenomenal slicer. Could easily replace like your full flat grind Spydercos if you want. And even though we're having fun and doing this, like top 12 list, I feel like I need to address something. We just recently broke the news that Crucible Steel does all CPM steels. So if you have a CPM and then 3V, CPM MagnaCut, CPM S35EN, whatever, they are on financial hard spot right now, and they are looking at potentially having to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the state of New York, potentially having to lay off, employees. Hopefully they can find a buyer, and maybe that doesn't happen, but there is a potential for that to happen in the new year. And to be clear, it just means that Crucible won't be making 3V. It doesn't mean that like MagnaCut will cease to exist, or like M4 Steel or CPM 3V is going to go away. It just means someone else potentially will be using that recipe and making the steel. So I just wanted to clarify some of that. I saw some comments like MagnaCut's going to not exist, and it's like that's not what that means. It just means that someone else that's not CPM, which obviously does phenomenal work, and we want them to stay in business, may not be manufacturing that particular steel anymore, and another manufacturer will be producing that same formula with the same chemistry that Crucible does. So hopefully they'll get that all worked out, but I just felt like we needed to touch on that. Let's hit that last one to steer away from. And the knife design itself is actually excellent. I have really not a lot of complaints with. It comes down to the sheath, but if the sheath does not go along with the knife, you're throwing down money that you're gonna have to trick out, and it's like, why? And so it is out of the Benchmade Water series, and it's the Intersect. This knife made with MagnaCut. The MagnaCut's a little low on the Rockwell, for my opinion. I think it should be more like 62 to 64, 62 to 63 even, something like that. 61, 63 I'd be happy with. So it's a little low. You're not, in my opinion, not getting the full potential out of MagnaCut, particularly for how compact the blade is. Great ergonomic handle, nothing wrong with that. Even the price point, 200 bucks, if the sheath was really good, wouldn't be atrocious, particularly from Benchmade. It's the sheath. It is just like, it is so bad. The idea was great, and it just fell flat in every way on the execution. You have to like pinky pinch or use the lanyard to get it out, and it's clacky, it's noisy, it's way bigger than it needs to be. If they had just done a simple Kydex sheath with like an ulti-clip, it would probably be on this list as a good go after blade. But as it stands, because the sheath is just so it just doesn't make sense. So hopefully, I would love to see them do like a earth version with some more earth-toned handle, rubberized handle options, and then like a little leather sheath, or even just update the sheath, and that would be a great. I think if you can get it between 180 and 200, I think that would absolutely be a worthwhile endeavor if you're looking for a compact fixed blade. But as it stands right now, I definitely would not be carrying that blade because of how bad the sheath is. All right, and here we are at the end of the road, our last blade, and the one that I carry. It has become my go-to EDC, like for the most part, like what I do the most, and of all these blades, has seen the most action since getting it. And it is, some of you might know, and if you're EDCing it, throw down a comment immediately. This little blade right here. Yep, the Overland Sport from TJ Schwartz, the mini version of the full-size Overland. This knife, it checks so many boxes for me. It's compact, fits in the pocket, comes with an ulti clip. It's like one of the only EDC ones right now that comes with an ulti clip. The deployment is superb. It's a 4-finger grip. It's so slicey, but it has a high saber grind. 63 to 64 on the Rockwell scale for Magna Cut, so getting the most that you can out of this little blade. And like the LT5 that we talked about earlier, TJ does batches, or you can go over anytime, trick it out and customize it exactly how you want, and then within 2 to 4 weeks, it'll show up at your house, so you don't have to wait for a batch to drop and try and jump on it. The batches just are like oftentimes limited color combos and things like that, and they're ready to ship like day of. So that, I mean, that's the main difference there, and my promo code would work on this as well. $265 is the normal rate, but that brings it down to like $235 for this. You're getting a mid-tech level, an all-American made blade. And if like, particularly because of my lifestyle now and just what I do differently, and I don't have to go to an office, I look at my pocket knife and I look at my fixed blade, and this is the one that's like in my room, you know, as like, what's your main choice? Because it really does hit that trifecta of carryability, performance, and style. I mean, you got to look good, you know, it's got to look good too, right? I mean, if it's just ugly as heck, then you may not always carry it, or you just may not enjoy carrying it. So I mean, you get this really cool feeling, performance, and carryability. That's really hard to find that trifecta of perfection. And you know, if I lived in the woods, maybe it would be like a bigger blade, but for my, you know, lifestyle here in a suburban area most of the time, you know, then it's an ideal fixed blade for that situation. So there it is, the 2024 top 12 best fixed blades of the year. Which one is your favorite? Leave a comment below. Which one do you already maybe have? And I just hope that this video has been fun and entertaining and give you guys some food for thought. And I wish you guys all a very Merry Christmas during this season. I pray that God really blesses you, shows his love and favor upon your life, that each one of you was born with a purpose. And I just pray that God is helping you to accomplish that purpose in your life. And if you're trying to discover it, I just pray that he reveals it in 2025 to you. And you guys are amazing. You're a huge blessing. And thanks so much. We've got lots more coming even before the end of the year. So stay tuned, more best of videos. I got some dumpster fire knives we got to, you know, tell you to steer away from, some great gear as well. And 2025 is looking amazing. Lots of stuff in the pipeline. So stay tuned. It's going to be epic. Until then, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.